My friends, in a world that constantly celebrates excess, more money, more possessions, more recognition, simplicity almost feels out of place. But if you observe closely, in thee, the strongest people, especially strong women, are those who consciously choose simplicity. Why? Because simplicity is not a weakness, it is a reflection of strength. It takes courage to walk away from what everyone is chasing. It takes wisdom to realize that true happiness lies not in clutter, but in clarity. When we speak about strength, many people imagine power, dominance, or the ability to control situations. But true strength is very different. It is the ability to live with clarity. And clarity comes only when we free ourselves from clutter. A strong woman understands this deeply. She knows that life can easily be weighed down by the things we accumulate, objects, responsibilities, expectations, and even relationships that drain rather than uplift. Think of a room filled with too many things. At first, it may feel like a sign of wealth or achievement. But over time, the very things that were meant to serve us begin to suffocate us. We can't move freely. We can't see what is important. We spend more time maintaining the clutter than enjoying the room itself. In the same way, when life is full of unnecessary burdens, whether they are possessions, unhealthy habits, or the constant pressure to please others, it becomes hard to recognize what truly brings joy and meaning. Strong women do not allow themselves to be trapped by this clutter. They step back and ask themselves, is this helping me grow? Is this bringing me peace? Or is this simply taking up space in my heart and mind? They have the wisdom to let go of what does not serve them. And that decision to let go isn't weakness. It requires incredible strength. Because holding on is easy. Anyone can hold on. But it takes courage to release. Clarity means being able to look at life without distortion. And distortion is exactly what clutter creates. For example, when someone tries to measure their worth by how many clothes, gadgets, or luxuries they own, they lose clarity. They forget that these things, while useful, are not who they are. A strong woman sees this trap and refuses to fall into it. Her worth is not in her possessions, but in her character, her resilience, her kindness, and her wisdom. That is why she chooses simplicity, to see herself as she truly is. But clutter is not always physical. Sometimes the worst clutter lives inside the mind. Worries, fears, the opinions of others, all these create noise within, and noise drowns out clarity. A strong woman learns to quiet that noise. She does not allow every opinion to dictate her choices. She does not give every fear the power to paralyze her. She practices the discipline of focusing only on what matters, and in doing so, she rises above the confusion that consumes so many. Consider water. When water is muddy, you cannot see through it. But when the mud settles, the water becomes clear, and you can see the bottom. Similarly, when life is filled with clutter, it is muddy. But when a strong woman lets the unnecessary settle, her life becomes clear. She can see her goals, her values, and her path ahead. That clarity is her strength. And there's another beauty to clarity. It brings lightness. Without clutter, life feels lighter. She doesn't carry extra baggage, whether physical or emotional. She doesn't waste energy chasing after things that will not matter 5 years from now. She has the strength to say no when needed, to step away when necessary, and to focus only on what brings her true fulfillment. In the end, clarity over clutter is not just a lifestyle, it's a mindset. It is the strength to recognize that more does not always mean better. It is the wisdom to see that life's greatest treasures are often the simplest ones. Peace, love, health, purpose, and joy. And by choosing clarity, strong women not only live more meaningful lives themselves, but also inspire others to clear away the unnecessary and live with the same courage. Freedom is a word we all admire, yet so few of us truly experience it. We often confuse freedom with doing whatever we want, buying whatever we like, or chasing every desire that arises in our hearts. But true freedom is very different. It is the ability to not be controlled by what you have or what you want. A strong woman understands this. She chooses simplicity not because she cannot have more, but because she has discovered the quiet strength of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean she doesn't love, care, or value things. It simply means she does not allow those things to own her. She can enjoy them without clinging to them. She can walk away without losing herself. That is freedom, the ability to live with open hands, not clenched fists. Many people in this world are imprisoned not by iron bars, but by their attachments. Someone may have a large house, but they can't sleep in peace because they are always worried about protecting it. Another may have the latest phone, but they cannot relax because tomorrow a newer version will arrive and they fear being left behind. A person may even be trapped by relationships, not love, but attachment, where their happiness depends entirely on how others treat them. These are subtle prisons, invisible cages, and many don't even realize they are locked inside. Strong women refuse to live like this. They know that attachment breeds fear, fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of change, and fear steals peace. By practicing detachment, they choose peace over fear. If they have something, they enjoy it. If it leaves, they let it go. This freedom makes them unshakable because their identity is not tied to external things. Think of a bird perched on a tree branch. The bird does not depend on the branch for its survival. Why? Because it trusts its wings. Even if the branch breaks, it can fly. Similarly, a strong woman places her trust not in external possessions or circumstances, but in her own inner strength, her values, and her faith. That's why she can let go when necessary. That's why she can detach without fear. And detachment is not just about material things. It also means detaching from the need for constant approval. A woman who is free from this need lives authentically. She doesn't measure her worth by how many compliments she receives or how many people applaud her. She knows that chasing approval is another kind of prison, where your joy belongs to others instead of yourself. By detaching from it, she regains her freedom, the freedom to live according to her values, not someone else's expectations. This freedom gives her the courage to say no when she must, to walk away from what doesn't serve her peace, and to resist the temptation of pleasing everyone. Because she understands that trying to please everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. In detachment, she finds herself again. There is incredible strength in this way of living. A strong woman can love deeply, but her love is not a chain, it is a gift. She can succeed greatly, but her success does not control her, it humbles her. She can have wealth, but she is not enslaved by it. She uses it wisely. Detachment allows her to live fully without being consumed. This is why strong women choose simplicity, because simplicity naturally supports detachment. When there is less to cling to, there is more space for freedom. And in that freedom, she discovers the truest form of strength, the power to live lightly, without fear, without bondage, without the heavy chains of unnecessary attachments. In today's world, noise is everywhere. Not just the physical noise of cars honking, phones buzzing, or televisions blaring, but also the subtle, invisible noise that fills our minds and hearts. The noise of endless opinions, the noise of constant comparisons, the noise of competition, and the noise of pressure to be more, to do more, to show more. Many people live surrounded by this noise every day. And the sad part is, they mistake this noise for life itself. But strong women know better. They understand that true life is not found in the noise, but in the peace that lies beyond it. Peace is not simply the absence of sound, it is the presence of clarity, calm, and balance. Noise, on the other hand, creates confusion and restlessness. A strong woman chooses simplicity because simplicity naturally reduces noise. When she is not endlessly scrolling through comparisons, not chasing every new trend, not trying to impress the world, she creates space for peace to take root. Think of a lake. When there are storms and winds, the water is disturbed. Waves rise, ripples scatter, and you cannot see what lies beneath. But when the storm passes and the wind is calm, the water becomes still, and in that stillness, you can see the reflection of the sky and even the fish beneath the surface. Life is the same. Noise is like the storm. It distorts, it agitates, it blinds. But peace allows us to see clearly. Strong women recognize this truth and deliberately choose stillness over the storms. This does not mean they avoid challenges. On the contrary, strong women often face the toughest battles, at home, in their careers, within themselves. But even in the middle of those battles, they do not allow noise to rule them. They practice the art of quietness, where they step back, breathe, and respond with calm rather than react with chaos. That calmness is not weakness, it is power. Anyone can shout, but it takes strength to remain centered. The world often confuses noise with success. Loud achievements, flashy People assume that those who make the most noise are living the best lives. But ask yourself, how many of them truly rest in peace at night? How many of them can sit alone without needing validation? Strong women know that real success is silent, graceful, and steady. It doesn't need noise because it shines on its own. Peace is also a form of rebellion in a noisy world. When everyone is running in 100 directions, a woman who sits still with herself is making a statement. I do not need to rush. I do not need to compete. I know where I'm going. That inner calm is her shield. It protects her from the distractions that pull so many off their path. It gives her the strength to walk steadily while others stumble in the rush. And peace is not selfish, it spreads. A strong woman who chooses peace over noise becomes a source of calm for those around her. Her presence eases tensions. Her words soothe pain. Her silence brings comfort. Just as a candle doesn't need to shout to bring light, a peaceful woman doesn't need to make noise to bring impact. Her peace speaks louder than words ever could. This is why she values simplicity. The less unnecessary noise she allows into her life, the more space she creates for peace. And in that peace, she finds her strength. Not the kind of strength that overpowers others, but the kind that empowers herself and inspires others to seek the same stillness. Life has a way of pulling us in every direction. There is always something demanding our attention: emails, phone calls, notifications, bills, responsibilities, and the endless list of urgent things that crowd our days. Most people spend their lives juggling so many distractions that they rarely pause to ask, am I focusing on what truly matters? Strong women, however, choose simplicity because it helps them filter out the noise and concentrate on the essence of life. They understand that strength is not in doing everything, but in doing the right things. If you observe carefully, the world celebrates business more than purpose. People wear their overloaded schedules like a badge of honor. But what is the use of being busy if your business is taking you away from what is truly important? Running fast in the wrong direction is not progress. It is simply exhaustion. Strong women know this. They are not impressed by being everywhere, doing everything, or pleasing everyone. They measure their days by meaning, not by noise. Think of sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. If you scatter the rays, they warm the surface but do little else. But when you focus them, that same light can ignite a flame. Focus creates power. Similarly, when life is scattered with distractions, your energy is spread thin. But when you focus only on what matters, your purpose, your values, your relationships, you create impact. Strong women embody this principle. They live with direction, not distraction. This focus often requires sacrifice. To give attention to what truly matters, you must say no to what doesn't. And saying no is never easy. It disappoints people. It makes others question you. But strength is the courage to stand firm. A strong woman has the wisdom to prioritize her time, her energy, and her heart. She knows that trying to give herself everywhere leaves her empty, but pouring herself into what is essential fills her with joy and fulfillment. And what are those essentials? They are different for each person, but the pattern is the same. Meaningful relationships, personal growth, inner peace, contribution to others, these are the things that matter. A strong woman invests in her loved ones, not just in appearances. She invests in her learning, not just in her image. She invests in giving, not just in getting. She lives by principles rather than trends. And this focus makes her strong because she is not tossed about by every wave of distraction. There is also wisdom in knowing that time is limited. None of us will live forever. A strong woman keeps this truth in her heart, not as a cause for fear, but as a compass for focus. She asks herself, if my days are numbered, how do I want to spend them? That question gives her clarity. It reminds her not to waste time chasing things that will not matter 5 years from now, let alone at the end of her life. By focusing on what truly matters, she lives not just a busy life, but a meaningful one. And here lies the paradox. Simplicity does not make her life smaller, it makes her life richer. By focusing on fewer things, she experiences them more deeply. A simple meal shared with loved ones brings her more joy than a lavish feast with strangers. A quiet moment of self-reflection gives her more strength than hours of empty entertainment. Her life may appear less crowded, but it is more fulfilled. This is why strong women choose simplicity. They know that life's value is not measured by how much you do, but by how much of what you do actually matters. Focus is not about doing less. It is about doing what matters most and doing it wholeheartedly. And that is where true strength lies. Grace is a quality that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It flows naturally from within, like a fragrance that lingers, even after a person has walked away. Strong women understand that true beauty and strength do not need constant decoration or display. They know that the way they live, the way they carry themselves, and the way they treat others speaks far louder than any attempt to impress. Simplicity becomes their companion, and through it, they radiate grace. Grace in living is about effortlessness. It is not about trying to prove worth, but about allowing worth to shine on its own. Think of a flower. It does not shout about its beauty, it simply blooms. Its fragrance and color draw people naturally. In the same way, a strong woman does not need to constantly show off her achievements, her possessions, or her influence. Her simplicity allows her character to bloom without distraction. Many people confuse grace with perfection. They think grace means never making mistakes or always looking flawless. But grace is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. A strong woman who lives with grace embraces her imperfections. She does not hide behind a mask to impress others. Instead, she accepts herself, flaws and all. And this acceptance makes her presence comforting rather than intimidating. People feel at ease with her because she is real, not rehearsed. Grace is also reflected in how she treats others. A woman of grace doesn't need to diminish someone else to feel powerful. She doesn't step on others to climb higher. Her simplicity teaches her that true strength lies in lifting others, not in competing with them. Her words are kind, even when firm. Her actions are thoughtful, even when decisive. She carries herself in a way that leaves others feeling respected and valued. And that is the essence of grace. Simplicity plays a vital role here. When life is not cluttered with unnecessary distractions, there is more space to live gracefully. A simple lifestyle reduces the urge to compare, to compete, to constantly prove oneself. This creates room for humility, for calmness, and for kindness to flourish. A strong woman chooses not to fill her life with excess because she knows that excess often leads to arrogance or restlessness. Instead, she lives with just enough, and in that enough, she finds elegance. Imagine entering a room filled with extravagant decorations, loud colors, and countless objects. At first, it may seem impressive, but after a while, it feels overwhelming. Now, imagine a room with just a few carefully chosen pieces, soft light, and open space. It feels calming, balanced, and beautiful. That is the difference between a life of show and a life of grace. Strong women choose the latter. Their simplicity creates a presence that is not overwhelming, but inviting, not demanding, but inspiring. Another dimension of grace is patience. A strong woman knows that life does not always move at her pace, and people do not always meet her expectations. Yet she does not lose herself in frustration. She carries the calmness to wait, to understand, and to forgive. This patience is not a weakness. It is an inner steadiness that allows her to rise above chaos. When others panic, she remains grounded. When others compete for attention, she remains composed. Her grace is her strength. Ultimately, grace in living is not about what a woman wears or owns. It is about how she makes others feel and how she holds herself in the face of life's storms. Simplicity allows her to strip away the unnecessary layers and reveal her truest self. And in that truest self lies her quiet elegance, an elegance that does not need to be announced, but is always felt. Strength is often misunderstood. Many believe strength must roar, that it must be loud, visible, and constantly announced. But true strength is the opposite. It doesn't need to shout because it is already secure. Strong women understand this deeply. They know that the most powerful force is often the one that works silently, steadily, and gracefully. Their strength is quiet, but its impact is undeniable. Consider nature. The sun does not need to declare its presence every morning. It simply rises, and the world awakens. The roots of a great tree do not make noise as they grow deep into the soil, yet it is those silent roots that give the tree its stability and resilience against storms. In the same way, a strong woman's quiet strength becomes her foundation. It is not always seen, but it is always felt. Quiet strength is born from confidence, not arrogance. When someone constantly boasts about their achievements or flaunts their possessions, it is often a sign of insecurity. They need the validation of others to feel significant. But a woman of quiet strength does not live for applause. She does not measure her worth by how loudly the world praises her. She knows her value, and that knowledge is enough. Her calm presence, her unshaken decisions, and her ability to stand firm without shouting prove her strength more than any display ever could. There is also a calmness in quiet strength that makes it so powerful. When faced with challenges, many react with pangs, noise or anger, but a strong woman holds herself with composure. She does not waste energy on unnecessary drama. She channels it into solutions. Her silence in the face of provocation is not weakness, it is wisdom. She knows that not every battle requires words, and not every storm needs a reaction. Sometimes, the greatest strength is found in restraint. Think of water again. A roaring waterfall may look powerful, but it is the still, deep river that nourishes entire lands. Similarly, a strong woman's quiet strength flows steadily, providing stability and inspiration to those around her. People may not always notice her at first, but over time, they realize she is the one they rely on, the one who holds everything together when others falter. This kind of strength also brings peace, because she is not constantly trying to prove herself. She is not restless. Because she does not need to compete with everyone, she is not exhausted. Quiet strength allows her to live with balance, conserving her energy for what truly matters. And that peace makes her even stronger, because she is never fighting unnecessary battles. There is a dignity to this quiet strength. It allows her to walk into a room without demanding attention, yet her presence shifts the atmosphere. People sense her calm, her assurance, her wisdom. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice, because her words, when spoken, carry weight. Silence has a way of amplifying truth, and her silence is not emptiness. It is power under control. Strong women know that loudness fades quickly. Noise impresses for a moment, then vanishes. But quiet strength endures. It leaves a lasting impression because it is not about performance. It is about essence. It is not about being seen. It is about being real. And in a world full of noise and pretense, that kind of strength is rare, and it is unforgettable. One of the greatest gifts a strong woman gives herself is time. Time to pause, to reflect, to breathe, to reconnect with who she truly is. In a world that constantly demands her attention, where responsibilities pile up and people expect her to be everywhere at once, she chooses simplicity as a way of reclaiming time for herself. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. For she knows that when she takes care of her own inner world, she becomes better equipped to care for the outer one. Modern life glorifies being busy. We applaud those who are always rushing, always multitasking, always available. But beneath the surface, many of these people are exhausted, drained, and disconnected from themselves. They give so much to others that they have nothing left within. A strong woman recognizes this trap and chooses a different path. She simplifies her life, not because she cannot do more, but because she values her time and her energy too much to waste them on things that don't nurture her soul. Spending time with oneself is not easy. The silence can feel uncomfortable at first. Thoughts rise, emotions surface, and distractions tempt us to run away. But a strong woman understands that this is where real growth begins, in facing herself honestly. By giving herself time, she learns to listen to her inner voice, to understand her feelings, and to align her actions with her deeper values. This self-awareness becomes her strength, guiding her through decisions and challenges. Think of a garden. If it is constantly trampled upon by visitors, the flowers cannot grow, the soil becomes dry, and the beauty fades. But if the garden is given time to rest, to be watered, to receive sunlight, it flourishes again. In the same way, when a woman gives herself time, whether through solitude, reflection, prayer, meditation, or simply resting, she replenishes her spirit. She becomes like a well-watered garden, full of life and beauty, able to share her fragrance with others. Time for self also creates balance. Without it, life becomes a constant rush of responsibilities, and even achievements feel empty. A strong woman understands that her worth is not measured by how many tasks she completes in a day, but by how meaningfully she lives each day. Taking time for herself allows her to slow down, to appreciate small joys, and to reconnect with gratitude. And gratitude, in turn, brings her peace and contentment. There is also power in solitude. When she steps away from the noise of the world, she hears the whispers of her own heart. She gains clarity about what truly matters and what is just distraction. Many of life's most important answers do not come from outside. They come from within, in moments of stillness. By creating time for herself, she opens the door to wisdom that endless activity would have kept hidden. This time also strengthens her relationships. Because she knows herself better, she can love others better. Because she has replenished her own well, she can pour into others without running dry. Her presence becomes more intentional, her words more thoughtful, her actions more meaningful. Far from making her distant, taking time for herself makes her more present when she is with others. In the end, time for self is an act of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to step away from the business that everyone else glorifies. It takes wisdom to realize that constantly running does not always mean moving forward. Strong women embrace this truth. They know that by giving themselves time, they are not losing anything, they are gaining everything: clarity, peace, energy, and the quiet strength to continue walking their path with grace. Contentment is one of the most underrated strengths in today's world. Many see it as settling for less, as a lack of ambition, or as a sign of weakness. But in truth, contentment is not about having less. It is about realizing that what you already have is enough. Strong women understand this power. They know that while ambition pushes us to grow, it is contentment that allows us to rest, to breathe, and to live fully in the present. Without it, life becomes an endless chase a race with no finish line, look around and you will see how comparison has become a silent poison. People measure their worth by the size of their homes, the brands of their clothes, the titles on their business cards, or the number of followers they have online. And no matter how much they achieve, it is never enough, because someone else always seems to have more. This constant cycle of comparison steals peace and leaves people restless. But a strong woman breaks this cycle. She knows that contentment is not the enemy of ambition. It is the balance that gives ambition meaning. Imagine climbing a mountain. Ambition is the force that drives you upward. But if you never stop to look at the view, if you never appreciate how far you've already come, then the climb becomes meaningless. Contentment is that pause, that gratitude, that ability to find joy in the present moment while still keeping your eyes on the summit. Strong women carry this balance. They strive, but they also appreciate. They grow, but they also rest in gratitude. Contentment also brings freedom. When a woman is content, she is no longer enslaved by the opinions of others. She doesn't need validation to feel valuable. She doesn't need more possessions to feel worthy. She doesn't need constant approval to feel loved. This freedom makes her unshakable because her happiness does not depend on external circumstances. It flows from within, and anything that flows from within cannot be taken away by the world. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from contentment. A strong woman who is content doesn't feel threatened by someone else's success. She can celebrate others without jealousy because she knows her own worth is not diminished by their achievements. She doesn't compete to prove herself because she already feels complete. This confidence, rooted in contentment, gives her an aura of peace that others naturally admire. Simplicity plays a huge role here. When life is less cluttered, it is easier to appreciate what you have. The constant craving for more comes from distraction. When you are always bombarded with advertisements, trends, and comparisons, you start to believe you are lacking. But when a woman chooses simplicity, she cuts away those distractions and reconnects with the abundance already present in her life. She begins to see the value in small things. A genuine conversation, a quiet walk, a simple meal, a moment of laughter. These are treasures that no wealth can replace. Contentment is not laziness. It doesn't mean she stops dreaming or striving. It simply means she is not desperate. She can pursue her goals with joy rather than anxiety, with passion rather than pressure. She knows that even if things don't go as planned, she already has enough to be grateful for. That perspective is powerful. It allows her to walk through life with resilience. Because her happiness is not fragile, it is anchored in gratitude, not in circumstances. This is why contentment is power. It calms the restless heart. It silences the voice of comparison. It frees a woman to live authentically without the burden of endless chasing. Strong women choose contentment not because they lack ambition but because they understand that true power is not in having everything. It is in realizing you don't need everything to feel complete.